Who wins when a Necromorph from Dead Space faces off against a Las Plagas from Resident Evil? In the red corner we have the Slasher Necromorph, the typical type created from a single infected human corpse. The Slasher resembles a dead body with an elongated pair of arms that have sharp protruding blades made of bone. These arms are sometimes created by altering the originals, while in others they are entirely new appendages sprouting from the shoulder blades or from a mass of flesh at the back. The blades are the Slasher's main weapons, but they are also used to stabilise the creatures while walking. In addition, they also can have a pair of smaller arms growing from the abdomen which help in grasping their prey. Necromorphs are made when a marker emits a certain electromagnetic signal which changes the cells of dead tissue, but they can also be made by a specialised type called an Infector, which can turn bodies or even live humans into necromorphs instantly. The purpose of the Slasher type is to attack other living organisms, making more bodies which can then be turned into more necromorphs, and once enough of a planet has been turned into necromorphs, a convergence event will happen, recombining all the biomass of every single living thing into a brother moon, the main necromorph species. Strengths. The necromorph is made from a dead body, so they have no sense of pain. They are also controlled by a hive mind, so they feel no fear or sense of self-preservation. They possess a high level of speed and agility, and are well equipped for causing damage with their scythe blades. Weaknesses. While they can't feel pain, they can still be harmed. Severing their limbs will quickly kill them, that is, if the opponent knows how. Although they are controlled by an intelligent organism, they themselves possess only a rudimentary level of intellect, and will most likely just charge their adversaries head on, although they can be stealthy at times. And in the blue corner we have the Ganado, a human host which is infected and controlled by a parasitic arthropod named the Las Plagas. These organisms are endemic to a remote mountainous region of Spain. These human villagers were injected with Plaga eggs by the leader of the Los Illuminados cult, Osmond Sadler. The procedure was disguised as a baptismal ritual. Once the Plaga egg pupates, the parasite attaches itself to the central nervous system, enabling them to influence their host's actions. There are two types of Plaga. The most common are the subordinate type, which serve the control type Plaga. Hosts with a control Plaga can give orders and lead those with subordinate Plagas. The Ganado retains most of its human appearance, but if enough damage is taken, then the Plaga will emerge from where the head was. They also retain their human intelligence and can still use tools and weapons, or if the parasite is exposed, then they have natural weaponry such as blades and teeth. Strengths. Like the Necromorph, the Ganados are controlled by a higher form, so are seen as expendable and possess little to no sense of self-preservation. They also have superior intelligence to the Necromorph and can utilise weapons and tools. Failing this, the parasite also has natural weaponry. Weaknesses. Although they have an increased pain tolerance, the Ganado does still sense injuries. If it takes enough, the parasite will become exposed, and they are much slower than their opponent here. A Slasher Necromorph is prowling the area, searching for victims. It hears a loud noise coming from nearby. After following the sound, it turns a corner and spots a human with his back turned. He is holding a chainsaw and is cutting up some dead bodies. The Slasher approaches quietly to take him off guard. With the chainsaw buzzing loudly, the Ganado can't hear it approaching. The Slasher is now within reaching distance and grabs him like a mantis. The Ganado is taken off guard and drops the saw and turns round to face the Necromorph, which lurches its head forward and bites the Ganado. After struggling for a few seconds, the Ganado throws the Necromorph off and it screeches at him. The Ganado points at the Slasher and says something in Spanish, then picks the chainsaw back up and pulls the starter. He raises it above his head and runs towards the Slasher. Once he is close enough, he rakes it across the Slasher's torso, cutting the surface of the skin but doing no real damage. He brings it back up again towards the face, but the Necromorph blocks with its blades and follows with a hit at the Ganado, stabbing him in the collar and sending him stumbling back a few feet. The Ganado swings the saw back at the Slasher again, and when it goes to block it, he moves it down and cuts off the Necromorph's forearm. It roars and spasms as the limb is severed, and blood oozes from the wound. It turns back towards the Ganado and charges. He raises the chainsaw, but the blow knocks it out of his hand and destroys it. The Ganado lunges to try and grab the Slasher, but being faster, the Slasher dodges backwards and then attacks again with its remaining arm blade, chopping off the Ganado's head. A couple of seconds pass, blood begins to spurt from the stump, but he doesn't fall down. The headless body begins to twitch and spasm, then a mass of flesh and insect-like legs emerge from the opening. It is the Plaga itself. The human portion then raises its hands again and continues toward the Slasher like a zombie. The Slasher comes towards it again for another attack, and then out of the Plaga comes a long tentacle with a blade at the end. The Slasher swings and lands a blow, but the Plaga uses its blade to cut off the Slasher's head and then its other arm. With the head and both arms severed, the Necromorph falls lifelessly to the ground in a crumpled heap. The victory goes to the Ganado. So it looks like the Ganado managed to win against the Necromorph in this battle, as due to its superior intelligence, the Ganado was able to learn that cutting off one of its limbs was what damaged it, so it would utilise this strategy for the rest of the fight. It was close though, as the Slasher did cut off the Ganado's head, revealing the Plaga inside, but even then the Plagas can still attack with their blades or mouths depending on the type. The Slasher was quicker and doesn't feel pain, but I felt the Ganado had more advantages due to being smarter and being able to use human weapons like a chainsaw, and in Dead Space, Isaac can equip a futuristic saw called the Ripper to use on the Necromorphs, which works really well. Let me know your thoughts, and remember to like, subscribe and consider becoming a member for exclusive perks like member only videos and to support the channel directly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.